Evet, bugün ne oynuyoruz? Kurbağaya deney yapacağım. Yüksel, yüksel, yüksel, yüksel, yüksel. Contents. Sponsor. Buradaki tak. Teleporting. Hı. Grab, grab. Ne oldu? Tamam. Başladık. Oh.
So today we're going to be dissecting a frog. But let's begin by reviewing some basic frog facts. Frogs are in the phylum Chordata, which means they have a backbone. They're in the class Amphibia and the order Anura. Now Anura means without a tail. Adult frogs and toads, unlike other amphibians, like salamanders for example, are tailless. Amphibians live on both land and water. Amphibian actually means double life. Some amphibians, like frogs, will live in the water only during their larval stage, but they do come back as adults to lay eggs in the water.
Neyse bir şey olmaz.
Frogs go through a complete metamorphosis. They start their lives as an aquatic tadpole with gills and fins, and as they mature, they metamorphosize and they develop lungs and legs, and they eventually move on to land. Now, before we get our equipment organized, let's do a quick review of today's lab objectives. These are the things to consider as you are looking at your specimen today. Number one, you should be able to describe the appearance of the organs as you are observing them. Number two, you should be able to identify the organs and label them on a diagram after the lab is over.
Tamam.
Number three, you should be able to identify the functions of the organs that we are observing today. Number four, you should always be thinking about how the frog's anatomy compares to your own anatomy.
Tamam, anladım.
And number five, you should always be working to demonstrate proper dissecting procedure and, of course, safety. Okay, now let's make sure we have the proper equipment. If you look to your left on the tray, you will see all of the equipment that we're going to be using today. You can pick up any of the tools on the tray, but remember, you'll need to put them back onto the tray if you want to pick up another. So let's see what we have. And after we identify them, you can pick it up and put it down before you move on to the next one if you want. You should see a scalpel we'll use for incisions. You should see a pair of scissors for cutting, a blunt probe for moving things around and pointing things out, a pair of forceps for grabbing, and lastly...
Frog kurban.
Okay, good job. Let's now begin to look at some of the external features. Look at the frog that is sitting in front of you. The skin of a frog is very thin and moist. Some amphibians use their skin for gas exchange. To prevent them from drying out, some amphibians, like frogs, have mucus glands. Mucus glands will secrete a waterproof coating that helps keep their skin moist and slippery. Pick up the magnifying lens from your tool tray and look closely at the mucus glands. Like all glands, they will secrete as needed.
Kurbağa. İyi misin? Kurbağa. İyi misin kurbağa? İyi misin? İyi misin? Tamam. Kurbağa. Sen böyle kal bakalım. Aç kafasını.
Now, if you pick up the frog and flip it over, you will notice what we
Keselim
call
bacağını
counter
keselim. Bir
shape.
şeyler yapalım.
The top and the bottom of the frog are different colors. This is helpful in nature in camouflaging itself. Frogs can have pigmented skin cells called chromatophores that give them their coloration. Some frogs can actually change color in order to camouflage. You can check out the chromatophore cells by looking at them closely with the magnifying lens. Go ahead and put the frog back on its belly.
Aha. Kurbağaya eziyet çektiriyoruz.
Now it's time to cut the frog open and study its internal anatomy. The frog should be on its back with its limbs pinned to the tray. Pick up the scalpel. Between the hind legs, make a small incision with it.
Bu ne? Niye kırmızı bir şey çıktı?
Now put the scalpel down and grab your scissors. Continue to cut up the center of the frog's body with scissors, cutting through both the skin and the muscle.
Neyle keseceğim? Makasla mı?
Make horizontal incisions just above the legs and just below the arms.
Böbreklerini çıkaracağım senin kurbağa. Makasla kurbağanın içine açıyoruz.
Now, put the scissors back and grab the forceps. Using the forceps, fold the skin and muscle flaps back and away from the body. Now look into the body cavity. The yellow finger-like projections on the sides are fat bodies. It may be necessary to remove some of these with forceps in order to see the organs clearly. They can be placed in the tray next to the frog. Fat bodies provide extra fat for mating, metamorphosis, hibernating, and protection of the eggs in a female. A female frog may have masses of developed eggs filling the body cavity and hiding the organs. It looks like you have a female, so it's going to be necessary to remove them with the forceps.
Tamam.
So, hopefully after today's lesson, you have a better understanding of how a frog's systems work. And now you can also begin to see how similar life is. Even a small amphibian like a frog and a complex mammal like you have structures in common. This evolutionary resemblance is a common theme in biology. Now that we have looked at the organs, it's time to begin cleanup. Make sure all of the equipment is back on its tray. I will dispose of the frog properly. I hope you've enjoyed today's dissection, and I will see you next class.
Kurbağayı. Kurbağayı kesmek istiyorum. Tak tak tak. Geri gidelim en iyisi. Sonra kaçırdık ha. Tamam bura. Aynen bura.
Now it's time to cut the frog open and study its internal anatomy. The frog should be on its back with its limbs pinned to the tray. Pick up the scalpel. Between the hind legs, make a small incision.
Anladım. Burayı ne yapacağım? Ne yapacağımı unuttum. Kırmızı bir şey. Merhaba.
Now put the scalpel down and grab your scissors.
Kestik mi?
Continue to cut up the center of the frog's body with scissors, cutting through both the
Makas,
skin and
scissors dedi
muscle.
bak. Şöyle keseceğim.
Make horizontal incisions just above the legs and just below the arms. Now, put the scissors back and grab the forceps.
Az önce yaptık bunları.
Using the forceps, fold the skin and muscle flaps back and away from the body. Now look into the body cavity. The yellow finger-like projections on the sides are fat bodies.
Aldım.
It may be necessary to remove some of these with forceps in order to see the organs clearly. They can be placed in the tray next to the frog. Fat bodies provide extra fat for mating, metamorphosis, hibernating, and protection of the eggs in a female. A female frog may have masses of developed eggs filling the body cavity and hiding the organs. It looks like you have a female, so it's going to be necessary to remove them with the forceps. They can also be placed in the tray next to the frog. Now let's start looking at some of the major organs. The frog's heart is the small triangular organ at the top. Unlike a mammal heart like yours, it only has 3 chambers, 2 atria at the top and 1 ventricle below. Carefully remove the heart with the forceps. Go ahead and place it next to your frog.
Kalbi yok artık.
Just below the heart, the 3-lobed liver is the largest organ in the frog's body. It produces bile used in digestion. Go ahead and remove the liver with the forceps.
Taşları söküyorlar bizim. Taş oluyor herhalde, bilmiyorum.
Now pick up the liver and look on the underside of it. You should see a small greenish empty looking sac, kind of like a deflated balloon.
Tamam.
This is the gallbladder. It stores bile produced by the liver. Now on either side where the liver was located, you should see the lungs. They are made of a spongy tissue, like your lungs. Now remove them with the forceps and look at them closely using the magnifying lens. Adult frogs have lungs. Tadpoles do not. But even adult lungs are so small that many frogs also use their skin for gas exchange.
Yaptık. Kur'an tüm böbreklerini söktük.
Curving below where the liver was located is the stomach.
Bu ne?
It looks like a large whitish tube. Go ahead and remove it with your forceps. Frogs swallow their food whole, so the frog's stomach is a little more elongated in its body than a human stomach would be. The deep grooves in the stomach are used for mechanically grinding up the food. The stomach connects to the small intestine. The first section, or duodenum, is fairly straight, but the rest of the intestine is coiled and held in place by a blood vessel-filled membrane called the mesentery. Now, go ahead and remove the small intestine with the forceps. The small intestine is where chemical digestion and absorption of nutrients occur.
Anladım. Cımbızla yine bir yere
The small intestine eventually narrows to the point where it meets the shorter, broader large intestine. The large intestine then opens into a chamber called the cloaca. The cloaca is the last stop before waste exits the body through the anus. The cloaca is also a common collecting chamber for urine and sperm or egg cells. All 3 will exit through the cloaca. Near where the small intestine was located is a small, round, reddish spleen. Go ahead and find it and remove it. In the frog, the spleen stores blood and is considered a part of its circulatory
Başka bir
system.
şeyin kaldı mı senin? Kalmadı herhalde.
Female frogs have ovaries full of dark-colored eggs. If the eggs are well developed, the ovaries will be very large and visible like they were in your specimen. Now you've already removed the egg mass, so they're going to no longer be in your frog. Otherwise, the ovaries would normally be seen under the stomach and the intestine. Now go ahead and locate the coiled tubes of the oviducts. If the eggs in the ovaries are not fully developed, the oviducts will be small and tightly coiled. Yours will probably appear larger. The oviducts carry the eggs to the cloaca where they will be released. Frog fertilization is an external process. Once the eggs are fertilized, they are usually left at the bottom of the stream or the river to develop on their own. In order to protect them, the egg masses will have a jelly-like covering.
Anladım. Bir şey daha alacağız kurbağalar herhalde.
Now the kidneys are flat, oval-shaped organs on the back wall of the body cavity, usually beneath the ovaries. Go ahead and find them and remove them.
Tamam. Kalmış bir şey alıyoruz.
The kidneys, like in your body, will filter blood and create urine. The urine is then sent to the bladder for storage until it is excreted through the cloaca.
İçi boş. Orada daha bir şey var mı cidden? Dişini kop... Aman.
Lastly,
the
testes. Male frogs will have these bean-shaped testes attached to the kidneys. The testes, of course, produce sperm.
Evet.
Now your specimen is a female, so you will not see them. But situated in the male body, they will look like this.
Bana yardım çizeyim. Bu bana baksın. Oo bak şaşkın bakıyor. Kaşları da var. Daha bir şey kalmadı herhalde kurban. Kalmamış.
So, hopefully after today's lesson, you have a better understanding of how a frog's systems work. And now you can also begin to see how similar life